6:30 in Cameroon. Good evening. You're welcome to the 6:30 edition of Prime News on My Media Prime live from the economic capital in Douala. We're streaming live from Studio 8 of My Media Prime. My name is Genda Pelgrin Blanche King. Thanking you for choosing My Media Prime this evening. We begin the news this evening from the northwest region of the country. The people of Bamenda Nkwen in Bamenda 1 subdivision of the northwest region have a new fund. Fund Fuchi III was presented to the population and the administration of Mezam Division today at the Bamenda Nkwen Funds Plaza. Charles Kebwa reports from Bamenda.
In the presence of Mezam's SDO Simo Mo Emil, accompanied by his Etat-Major, the city mayor Bamenda / Mayor Bamenda 1 Council, funds, notables, and the population of Bamenda Nkwe, today at the Bamenda Nkwe Funds Plaza, Bamenda 1 subdivision of the Northwest region received the 26th fund to rule the people of Bamenda Nkwe. Fund Fochi III, a student of the National School of Administration Enam Yaoundé, was presented to the population and the administration of Mezam, the Kwifon of Bamenda Nkwe, upon presenting the history of the people of Bamenda Nkwe and the new fund Fochi III, born on the tiger skin as the rightful successor of Fund Fosu Fongwa II, who ruled from 1959 to 2020. Mezam's SDO Simo Mo Emil satisfied on the choice of the fundum.
According to the decree that we have just mentioned above, we, the Senior Deputy Officer of Mezam, we officially consider as designated the new fund.
While called on the newly enthroned fund to assist administration bring back normalcy and join develop the Bamenda Nkwe Fundum, Fund Fochi III educational background from secondary education to the National Polytechnic Bamui Bamenda, defended banking and finance, had worked as a financier before enrolling into the National School of Administration Enam Yaoundé.
Popular Action Party (PAP) has pledged to support Cameroon Renaissance movement in their call for common resistance. This is contained in a press release issued on August 31, signed by the national president of the party. Details in the following report. Coming on the heels of Professor Maurice Kamto's call for mass protest, the Popular Action Party have expressed their wish to support in a common resistance championed by the presidents of the Cameroon Renaissance movement as a wake-up call for Cameroonians of goodwill to stand against what the party terms mediocrity and barbarity of the reigning regime. This is contained in a release dated August 31, with the Popular Action Party applauding the cordial relationship that exists between the Cameroon Renaissance movement and other political parties, stating in clear terms their vision of bringing together opposition parties void of their political interest for the purpose of a united resistance front.
The Popular Action Party have been working on a common front for opposition parties, civil society organizations, and the Cameroonian people, the population that have been suffering dictatorship for the past 88 years, to come together under a common platform that is not of political interest, but for the interest of a resistance front.
The communique states in part that the party will stop at nothing to ensure a peaceful transition of power in Cameroon. It is in this light that the party, through its national president, Jean-Denis Tabe, salutes the efforts of Maurice Kamto while expressing their willingness and openness.
The Popular Action Party was very delighted to receive a letter of invitation for common action from the CRM party, and we responded yes and pledged to work as partners, calling other progressive forces to come together so that together we can go about this without necessarily coming up with chaos. We want to minimize, mitigate violence as much as possible in whatever thing we want to do.
It is in this light that the party, through its national president, Jean Denis Tabe, salutes the efforts of Maurice Kamto while expressing their willingness and openness to collaborate in any way deemed necessary for the betterment of the country. Some CDC workers in Moliwe were on a sit-down strike yesterday to express dissatisfaction and frustration following illegal sales of portions of land belonging to the Cameroon Development Corporation and equally the illegal cutting down of palms. The financial impact of these illegal actions amounts to about 150 million francs CFA and with close to 37 million worth losses to be incurred in salaries paid to workers on technical holidays. Details with Nora Kakebi in the following report.
Some workers of the Cameroon Development Corporation, CDC, are disgruntled with the administrators and local authorities of Afrique division for selling out portions of their lands to some individuals. These lands, which according to the CDC workers are a source of income to their daily living, are being unjustly reclaimed and sold by the said local authorities for selfish gains. With palm cultivation being the primordial activity of the farmers, the cries and wails, plus their desperate messages directed to the head of state, President Paul Biya, are the only hope left for the workers.
In the nearest future, we are going to notify the administration as concerns our intention. Like I told you earlier, we are here to work, but with the present situation, I cannot work. So I'm going back with my workers.
Talking to one of the victims, their next move is to...
From here, we will go for the top management, for head office. We will go inform them. So in a situation, this we know like them. If they bid that call, we know like them because now we go be unemployed. Maybe some of them they get job, other jobs where the government will give them. For say they render we unemployed.
Having been met with this frustrating situation, this poor widow laments even further.
Some of we source matter will go for pension. Some of we begin and then for house. We go care for them now. Now we receive our children when they do this thing the whole distance. So they want pull for one side. So when you try to talk say now when they make an answer, they frustrate we and they frustrate our children because now it makes some of our children now go thief.
According to reports, the financial impacts of the activities qualified by many as illegal to the corporation amounts to over 150 million CFA francs and close to 37 million losses which will be incurred for paying workers of these sections for no work done. With more intentions to continue the felling process, the victims are calling on the government's prompt reaction to resolve the ugly situation.
Victims of a landslide that occurred last week in Nguti subdivision, Kupe-Mwanenguba division of the Southwest region have been comforted by the government of Cameroon. The divisional officer for Nguti subdivision was bearer of relief materials donated or given by the government as a student journalist on internship at Tape Content. Tells us in the following report.
C'est un accompagnement moral et matériel qu'apporte le gouvernement aux personnes victimes d'un éboulement de terrain accompagné d'une coulée de boue survenue la semaine dernière dans l'arrondissement de Ngouti, département du Kupe-Mwanenguba, région du Sud-Ouest. Un appui financier de 3 millions de francs CFA, 40 matelas sans couverture et seaux, 10 cartons de sardines et 5 de sucre, puis 20 sacs de riz constituent le don de soulagement envoyé par le ministre de l'administration territoriale sous la recommandation du chef de l'État aux sinistrés. Le matériel a été reçu hier par le sous-préfet de Bangem.
Basic items sent by the head of state and excellency That's the reason why we are here today.
Ce don intervient dans un contexte marqué par un important dégât matériel survenu dans cet éboulement. L'on déplorait le décès de 3 personnes, les plantations de plantains et de cacao englouties, les maisons disparues dans cette catastrophe. Après réception par monsieur le sous-préfet, le matériel était aussitôt distribué aux personnes dédiées. Ces dernières ont exprimé leur sentiment de joie face à ce coup de cœur du gouvernement. Elles vont utiliser ce don à bon escient en attendant les meilleurs lendemains.
Minister of Finance Louis-Paul Motazi and the Managing Director of BGFE Bank Cameroon have signed an agreement to grant a 10 million francs CFA loan at the request of the government of Cameroon. This will aid small and medium-sized enterprises severely affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Audrey Zatza compiled the following.
The partnership agreement signed yesterday, 1st September 2020, between the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motazi, and the Cameroonian subsidiary of the Gabonese banking group, BGFE, represented by Abakar Mahamat, is as a means to help small and medium-sized enterprises strengthen their resilience in the face of the difficult economic situation linked to the coronavirus disease, which has impacted on the production tool. According to Abakar Mahamat, the main focus is to preserve jobs in small and medium-sized enterprises and coming together to find better ways of relaunching their activities.
L'objet principal, c'est de soutenir la partie la plus vulnérable qui a été touchée par le Covid. Chaque PME aujourd'hui au Cameroun emploie 30-40 personnes. Ça fait au moins le double en termes de familles qui vivent de ces personnes-là. Pour nous, l'essentiel aujourd'hui, c'est d'abord de préserver des emplois.
Speaking on the occasion, the Cameroonian Minister of Finance representing the government has expressed his satisfaction to the fact that BGFE Bank is on the side of the government and reinstating that this initiative will help produce locally what the country has been importing till date.
Où le chef de l'État nous demande justement d'élaborer un plan de relance. Autant nous apprécions qu'un appui soit accordé aux PME, autant nous souhaiterions souvent que les membres comprennent quelles sont nos propres priorités. Nous préférerions toutes ces initiatives qui visent par exemple à transformer les matières premières locales.
According to a report published in April 2020 by GCAM, 72% of small and medium-sized enterprises are negatively affected by the COVID-19 for losses estimated at over 80% of their turnover. It is worthy of note that small and medium-sized enterprises represent more than 90% of companies in Cameroon, as they generate 67% of jobs and 34% of total turnover for companies in the country. The support of BGFE Bank Cameroon will therefore enable to recover gradually.
Following the increasing rates of humanitarian challenges and disaster risk across Africa and Cameroon in particular, the Pan-African Institute for Development in West Africa have organized a 4-day intensive professional course on disaster risk and humanitarian management, as Lasha Kinsley tells us in the following report.
Some 117 persons drawn from government establishments and public companies across Cameroon have gained quality skills in the domain of disaster risk and humanitarian response management. This was during a 4-day enriching training workshop held recently at the Pan-African Institute for Development West Africa, OIA. The capacity building workshop, which was organized by Paid Work in collaboration with the United Nations Peace University, UPeace, was aimed at equipping key actors to be able to manage conflicts, environmental hazard, and pandemic at a time when these ills are recurrent.
Was first pedagogically to transfer skills, to train people in disaster risk and humanitarian response and management. We understand that these are troubling times in the world, amidst the COVID-19 and the unending wars and conflicts, environmental hazards. So the principal aim was to train people to have skills, be empowered to manage the situation.
During the 4-day intensive professional training on disaster risk and humanitarian management, participants received skills from various experts through lectures and practical sessions.
It's a challenge. Because we always forget that sense of responsibility. It comes directly to the council officials.
Speaking to the press at the end of the training, the main organizer, Dr. Dan Ekongwe, noted that such training is what Africa needs to catch up on European countries.
This is what Africa needs to catch up, to close the gap on developing or developed countries. It's worked in Austria, it's worked in Indonesia, it's working in Ghana. I think it's the best approach for us.
At the end, participants left satisfied and were each handed certificates of participation. They describe the training as a stitch in time to save 9.
In fact, it is a very, very important program. If we, as the pace setters who have attended this program, go on and don't keep our certificates to sleep and we get to work immediately, we are sure that disasters in the next few years will be greatly managed and prevented.
Also present at the workshop was the president of the Pan-African Institute for West Africa International, Dr. Mrs. Teresa Elat.
Some 16 master's students at the Higher Institute of Management Studies, HIMSS Boya, have defended their thesis in business administration under the mentorship of the University of Bamenda. Moki Regan was part of this event. He compiled the following report.
Make proper inventory in this private higher institution. This was supported by the work of Agimo and Koba.
Some master students of Higher Institute of Management Studies, HIMSS Boyam, have recently defended their thesis in business administration under the mentorship of the University of Bamenda. Professor Colinus Lambi is the rector of the Higher Institute of Management Studies.
So our first batch of students would be completing their defenses today, and I'm happy to remark that we have throughout the entire process kept very, very high standards, because it was our intention and has remained our intention to train well-qualified graduates who would fit into the corporate world.
And to him, HIMSS Boya is the best business university in the Southwest region based on their performance in public examination.
I would want to say that we are the best business school in the Southwest region of Cameroon. I say so because we attained a degree of perfection. Our grades or our final results were generally 95 to 100%. So in many courses we scored 100%.
From Loretta and Franca Awa are master students of HIMSS Boya who expresses their joy after defending their thesis in business administration.
I'm very happy I've been able to complete my course hopefully in marketing. And I'm doing a master's in business administration, so I'm very happy.
Presented on the topic, fast perception of female leadership qualities, selected private higher education institutions in Boya, and the presentation went on well. That was greatly appreciated.
It should be noted that it is the first batch of students at HIMSS Boya who has defended their master's thesis in business administration since the creation of the institution. Professor Fombang Emmanuel is the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture at the University of Bamenda, who was part of the supervision team from the mentor university.
The evaluation was thorough, and one good thing is that they gave us 1.5 hours to interact with the students, which is rare. Most often with master's, MBA dissertation, they give 1 hour. So I think they tried their best.
The defense ceremony ended with photograph, word of congratulations from friends and family relatives to the students who defended their thesis in business administration.
Cameroon electoral body, ELECAM, will soon begin necessary proceedings for the production of the provincial electoral list as well as the production of the national electoral list by December 30. ELECAM has recorded 15,000 new registrations ahead of regional elections. Eileen Sama reports.
The Director General of Elections Cameroon, Eric Esuse, during a press briefing in Yaoundé, revealed that 15,077 new registrations were registered during the campaign from April 9th to August 31st, 2020 nationwide. As compared to previous years, this year's ELECAM statistics are not up to expectation. A situation explained by the ELECAM buzz is due to a number of factors, including the double ballot in the legislature
legislative and municipal elections on February 9th, followed by the partial elections on March 22. Worst of them all was the COVID-19 pandemic, which kept enrollment procedures on standstill. Among the newly registered are 9,989 men and 5,488 women, 38 disabled persons and 10,257 youth. While making public these statistics Tuesday, September 1, 2020 in Yaoundé, Eric Esose also disclosed that this year's registrations bring the total number of registered voters to the National Electoral Roll to 6,168,575 voters. However, Eric Esose stays positive as his team will in a few weeks proceed with the technical verifications necessary for the production of the provisional electoral list by October 20th and the production of the national electoral list by December 30th, 2020 in accordance with the law.
Let's now talk about the most striking events in the African continent with Fonquinta.
Flooding has killed at least 90 people, leaving nearly 400,000 affected in Sudan. Reports from the United Nations say heavy rains triggered flooding and the rise of the River Nile up to nearly 17.5 meters, the highest level in 100 years, contaminating around 2,000 water sources. According to the United Nations, the worst affected regions are East Sudan, White Nile, Darfur and Khartoum, where tens of thousands of internally displaced people are in dire need of shelter and emergency assistance. In Khartoum state alone, more than 21,000 people have been affected by the flooding, pushing government to declare a state of emergency. Meanwhile, in Tanzania, Human Rights Watch says authorities have stepped up repression of opposition parties and non-governmental organizations ahead of next month's election. The Rights Watchdog equally criticized new media restrictions which prevent media outlets in the country from covering politically sensitive topics, including COVID-19 pandemic. The organization further says since mid-June, at least 17 opposition party members and critics of government have been arrested, considered a coincidence as it comes at a time when elections in the country are slated for October 2020. Over in Zimbabwe, opposition politician Jacques Ngarifume has been granted bail in his fourth attempt since being detained on July 20 after calling for anti-government protest against corruption and the country's economic crisis. The High Court judge today granted his appeal against the ruling of a lower court that had denied him bail. The politician has been ordered to pay 50,000 Zimbabwe dollars, surrender his passport, and report to police 3 times a week.
In sports news, the Confederation of African Football (CAF) have released the final schedule for all continental competitions set to take place during the upcoming 2020-2021 season. Sportsman Keninga Fabrice completes this sports story.
The current season of CAF Interclubs competitions is yet to end as the semi-finals and the final of the Champions League and the Confederations Cup are still set to take place at the end of this month. Africa's football governing body have decided to release the new calendar for the upcoming season and explain to member associations which of their teams will be allowed to participate in the upcoming editions. CAF revealed their new guidelines in a statement on their official website, which were as follows. Member associations that completed the 2019-2020 season, the engaged teams shall be the teams qualified from their national competitions for 2019-2020. Member associations that did not compete the 2019-2020 season but set a criteria to classify the teams or homologate the standings in the national competitions for 2019-2020. The engaged teams shall be the teams qualified from the national competitions 2019-2020. Member associations that could not complete the 2019-2020 season and considered the season cancelled, the engaged teams will be the same representatives for the 2019-2020 interclub seasons, taking into consideration the quota of each association according to their rankings. Member associations yet to complete their season or unable to finish before the engagement deadline, they will be requested to choose one of the criteria to determine their representatives subject to approval from CAF. Along with their statement, CAF unveiled the ranking of the top member associations based on how their representatives performed in club competitions over the past 5 years. Morocco topped the ranking with 180 points, followed by Egypt 147 points and Tunisia 140 points. The remainder of the 12-country list included DR Congo, Algeria, South Africa, Zambia, Nigeria, Guinea, Angola, Sudan and Libya respectively. Finally, they will open registrations for any of these tournaments on October 21 through November 19. The first leg of the preliminary round will kick off on November 20 until the 22nd, with the second leg taking place a week later. The group stages will start in mid-February and the draw for knockout phase will take place at the end of April, with the matches set to start in mid-May. In the full calendar, CAF included the dates for many other tournaments such as the 2021 African Nations Championship and the Under-20 AFCON.
With that sports story, we end this edition of Prime News on My Media Prime. The news was produced by Ewana Eli Nolinga, coordinated by Lasha Kingsley. My name is Genda Perojin Blanche King. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to My Media Prime. Up next is Prime Hour with Leonard. Enjoy the rest of the program. Good night.